Let's get to our next topic. We're talking about the Knicks. They play tomorrow. Jimmy Butler is questionable for Game 3 after hurting his ankle. Josh Hart actually rolled Butler's ankle in Game 1, but he looked okay. He sat out Game 2, which I thought made sense. You take some rest. He tried to play Game 2. You want to rest him so he's good for Game 3 at home in front of the Miami crowd.
5 days off. He got 5 days off.
A bunch of time off. So now he's feeling better. He's questionable for Game 3. The surprising thing was the Knicks almost lost to the Heat without Jimmy Butler, which is a little bit surprising. Butler in the playoffs is averaging 35.5 points and almost 7 rebounds per game, which is absolutely crazy. And most of that obviously came in the Game 4 and 5 against Milwaukee, where he dropped 50 and then 40. So I just want to know who wins Game 3, Miami Heat, New York Knicks.
Woo. Well, I'd say if Jimmy Butler can be effective and he can play, I pick the Heat.
The Heat?
Yeah.
Ooh. Why do you say the Heat?
I watched them in Game 1 when we were there. My God, I'm impressed. I kind of wrote them off because they had so many injuries, right? They lost Hero, he can't play, and Oladipo can't play. And they have a bench that's got some players on it. Duncan Robinson, he played pretty well, right?
Yeah.
And the Kyle Lowry has stepped up now. He's playing much better than he did in the regular season. You've got Trey Vincent, who is, I think, a very quality player. Gabe Vincent. Yeah. Sorry, I think he's very high quality player. He's played very well, and the Heat were hitting their threes pretty consistently. They were hitting the critical shot, whereas the Knicks were missing. And the Knicks, they almost lost Game 2.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on how well Jimmy Butler can play tonight.
Interesting.
And if he's what he was in Game 1, then I see the Heat having a very good chance to win tonight.
How much does that ankle really bother Jimmy Butler? Because supposedly,
it's hard to say. I heard it was very swollen.
It was swollen, but then it came out literally like the next day or later that day is not as serious as people were originally thinking it was. So
I think they were smart to rest him in the second game.
I think it was because you're saying we're going back.
They did what they had to do. They won one game in New York.
Right. No, I completely agree with that.
I think they're well coached, the Heat.
Absolutely.
And I think the players that didn't play so hot in the regular season, principally Kyle Lowry, have stepped up.
Yeah.
And the injuries are not as noticeable now because these other guys are stepping up and they're getting their opportunity and they're taking advantage of it. So, I give the Heat some credit for that.
Absolutely. I mean,
I still think the Heat. I mean, the Knicks have a chance to win it though. I picked them in 7, I think 6 or 7.
I don't have.
I can't remember.
Thing in front of me. I picked the Knicks in. I picked the Knicks in 6. I'm hoping it's in 5. I'll be at Game 5. I think it's gonna be a really, really good game. So I'm hoping Knicks can go into Miami and just be like, no, not today. Sorry, Miami, you're not getting this. Then go back in Madison Square Garden Game 5 and just be like, see you next season. Bye Heat. Sent you packing. But
I think that's going to be tough.
I think it's going to be extremely tough, and I don't think it's realistic. However, I will say this: the coaching in Game 2 was a little bit better than in Game 1. First off, you didn't use all your timeouts and then have one remaining with 6.5 minutes left in the game in a close game. That's the first thing. Second, you played a little bit better defense than you did than in Game 1. Third, Josh Hart was better. Oh, and also the biggest thing, the Knicks actually hit a couple threes in this one. Before you're shooting 20.6% from 3 in Game 1. That's a terrible shooting performance. Jalen Brunson hit his shots. Julius Randle was a big factor in that game. However, I just think you take a look down the list, you had some bad matchups. Mitchell Robinson on Bam, that's a bad idea. Mitchell Robinson's a slow defender. Bam's got a little bit of quickness to him. I would honestly put Julius Randle on Bam Adebayo. Because I think Mitchell Robinson, he's mainly a rebounder. So I want you on maybe the power forward, but I don't want you on the main center because I think, honestly, Bam's got quickness, and I think Julius Randle has a little bit more of a little jump start than Mitchell Robinson does.
I think that's a better matchup.
Because
Bam Adebayo as a center is more like a sort of in between a small and a power forward, right? He's pretty quick. He can handle the ball, So
I don't know how well, though. I don't know how well.
He can handle it well enough. Not great, but he has a quickness that most centers don't have.
Yeah, he also could shoot pretty well.
Yeah.
Now, it's not as consistent as a Jokic or even as an Embiid, but he still could shoot the three ball pretty well.
Yeah.
I honestly think my guy, Obi Toppin, he deserves more minutes. Game 1, he went off, and you didn't put him in late in the game. That blew my mind how that you didn't put him. He was your third highest scorer, and you're putting in guys that don't even have double digits in the game, late in the game when you need to score points because you're down by so much. And he was also the only player that made multiple threes in Game 1. Now, this game, he didn't shoot very well. I think he went 0 for, both from 3 and from the floor. So he didn't play as good. But you also had Hartenstein. Hartenstein has been very good for the Knicks, especially in the playoffs. An extreme rebounder. Hell, even put Hartenstein on Bam Adebayo if you want to take Mitchell Robinson out. But Mitchell Robinson, I think, leads the playoffs in offensive rebound percentage, over 18%, which is ridiculous. Think about it. Every time you go for an offensive rebound, there's a 1 in 5 chance Mitchell Robinson's coming down with it. Like, that's crazy to think about. So Mitchell Robinson has very, very positive qualities. But I think the major, like the top part of the Knicks has been RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett, who has dominated the Heat this season, needs to continue dominating the Heat during this playoff run. Because if RJ Barrett slips up even a little bit,
I think
he
forced his game in Game 1. He forced a lot of shots.
Yeah.
And he needs to relax a little bit and take what the game gives him, instead of trying to force that shot. He missed quite a few doing that.
Yeah. And also, just the Knicks in Game 1, I don't know what it was. The coaching.
They looked good in the first half.
They're up in the first half, and then third quarter.
They looked good in the first half up until about the last 3 minutes, and then they kind of lost their mojo.
They were still winning, though, at the half.
Yeah, but only 5 points, though. They were up by 14.
Right. And then in Game 1, they just got out-coached at the end of that game. Tom Thibodeau, I don't know what the hell he was doing game plan-wise. It just didn't make a lot of sense. Game 2 was a little bit better, but then again, you almost lost
thanks to Brunson.
A bunch of undrafted players that the Heat have.
Brunson was the difference.
Yeah, Brunson played phenomenal in the third and fourth quarter. RJ Barrett played well. So we'll see. I will take the Knicks. I'm taking Miami to win. It's the same thing with the Celtics Sixers. I'm taking the Heat to win the first game. Then the Knicks make the adjustments, and that's where they close out the rest of the series. They take. First of all, we don't know how the Knicks will play in Miami. Now, they played them in the regular season, but clearly, based on the rest of the playoffs, the regular season doesn't mean anything. So I'm saying the Heat go into Game 3. I think they dominate Game 3. And the general rule is in sports, a competent, decent to great team, if they get embarrassed in one game, the next game, they come back and win. So I'm taking the Knicks to lose Game 3, go into Game 4, win that, close out the rest of the series, go back to New York, MSG, win Game 5, go back to Miami. You already felt out Miami in the playoffs, how they roll, how they vibe, how they sound, and you close it out in Game 6. That's my prediction. I nail Knicks in 6 on the head, even though I hope the Knicks just go into Game 3 and 4, just crush, and then Game 5, it's the closeout game. Yeah. Say peace out, Heat. See you next year.
That would be cool for you.
Absolutely.
Since you're going to be at Game 5.
Absolutely. I don't see it happening.
I'm hoping that's happening, but I don't see it. I don't see the Heat losing 2 at home.
I don't either, especially what they did to the Bucks.
Yeah,
like I'm very nervous about this series.
Maybe Jimmy Butler has another 56-point game.
That's good. If he does, just say Knicks losing in 5. There's no chance if that does happen, but I'm not too sure.